So now let me invite Shefali ji. Uh, Shefali Vaidya ji is going to present her paper on seven sister goddesses, both from classical and folk culture, both from Tantra and folklore.
Advantage of being short. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm going to present a paper on the legend of the seven sister goddesses found in different parts of India, and also their connection, their stories, their connection with the Saptamatrika worship, and their importance in the religion as well as the cultural ethos of the communities where they are worshipped. Sriniji, presentation. So this is a mural of the Saptamatrikas. Next, please. As you know, that India has had a long tradition of worship of the mother goddess as well as the Saptamatrikas. They are commonly known as Brahmani, Vaishnavi, Maheshwari, Kaumari, Varahi, Indrani and Chamunda. 7 has always been a mystical number, a special number, a holy number in many cultures, including ours. We have 7 holy rivers, the Sapta Sindhu. We have Saptapuris, that's the 7 holy cities. We have the Sapta Rishis. We have the 7 chakras inside the subtle body. We have 7 swaras in music. 7 days in a week as represented by the 7 horses of the sun's chariot. And according to Vedic literature, Agni was born to 7 mothers. All of these heptads have got one thing in common as per Stella Cramrish. She says that what all these heptads have in common is maternity and movement, probably the reason why the Saptamatrikas are 7 in number. Next I come to origin of Saptamatrika worship. According to Jagdish Narayan Tiwari and Dilip Chakravarti, the worship of Saptamatrikas was in existence during the Sindhu-Saraswati Valley civilization. And here you can see, previous one please. Here you can see a seal where there are 7 female figures below. They are described as proto-Saptamatrikas by Dr. M.K. Dhawlikar, an eminent archaeologist from Pune. And next we come to the Vedic literature. Next please. So the references for Saptamatrikas are there in classical literature, in spiritual or scriptural literature, as well as in secular literature. For example, the Rig Veda mentions a group of 7 celestial women who control the preparation of Soma. Taittiriya Brahmana mentions the 7 Kritikas, who are the mouth of the head of Prajapati, and the 7 Kritikas are named in Taittiriya Brahmana as Amba, Dula, Nitatani, Abhrayanti, Meghayanti, Varshayanti and Chupunika. You can see there is a connection between the weather and the Kritikas. They also have a brother named Rushab, which is a theme again you will see repeated in the 7 sister goddesses legend as the worship is explained in different parts of India. David Kinsley, in his book Hindu Goddesses, Vision of the Divine Feminine, says the story of Ritikas. The Kritikas were 7 sisters married to 7 brothers who were the Saptarishis. That's the stars that form the Big Dipper. The 7 rishis and their wives lived together until one day the Saptarishis accused 6 of their sisters of infidelity by saying that they preferred the love of Agni. Angered by this, 6 of the Kritikas left their homes. Only one of the 7 sisters remained with the Saptarshi constellation, and that is Arundhati. That is why we see Arundhati, the star, during weddings in South India particularly. The banished Kritikas, as David Kinsley says, they come to Lord Kartikeya, who was the son born of the fire of Lord Shiva, and they request him to adopt him as his mothers. He agrees, and they ask for 2 wishes. One is to be worshipped as goddesses throughout, and the second wish is to live off the children because they're very angry because they've been accused of infidelity. But Lord Kartikeya, being benevolent, he is reluctant to grant the second boon, and he asks them to protect children if they are propitiated. Therefore, these 6 Kritikas and the goddess Parvati, which is Kartikeya's real mother, who is sometimes represented as Chamunda, they form Saptamatrikas, and they are considered both as Balaghatini as well as Balarakshini, which is kind of like what Durjati said. It's slightly ironical. It's like basically if they are propitiated, they protect children. If they are not propitiated, they harm children. David Kinsley also proposes that the Matrikas may have been local village goddesses who were being assimilated in the mainstream, and he cites 2 reasons for this assertion. First is their description in Mahabharata as being dark in color, speaking foreign languages, and living in peripheral areas like river sites, like water resources and jungles, and their association with Skanda. But Madhu Vangu Bajaj, she has stated that the legend of Saptamatrikas originated from the 7 stars, that is the plates. Harper and Brown, in their book, also support this theory and mention that Saptamatrikas are associated with the Vedic Kritikas, and it's one and the same. Munya Andrews has done a wonderful study about the 7 sisters of plates. There are different stories from across the cultures, and she corroborates this connection between Saptamatrikas and Kritikeya and points out the connection between Deepavali, that is a festival coming in Kartik, and the Kritikas. Next, please. Sorry, I completely forgot about the presentation. Next, please. Yeah. But there are different references to Saptamatrikas in the Puranas. In the Matsya Purana, it is said that Lord Shiva created 7 goddesses to combat Andhakasura. And in the Devi Mahatmya, it is said that Devi, goddess Durga, created 7 terrible goddesses from herself, and with their help slaughtered the demon army of Mahishasur. Now we come to the references in non-religious literature, where Mahabharata has mentioned it. Natya Shastra mentions that Saptamatrika should be worshipped before setting up of stage and dance performances, and Bhasa and Sudraka both refer to offerings made to Saptamatrikas at crossroads. So even when Vrichikatika was written, the worship of Saptamatrikas at crossroads was very much in vogue. Next, please. These are the epigraphic references. The earliest reference goes to 5th century CE, Malwa. Now we come to iconography. They are usually Saptamatrika pattas carved in a single stone slab in the sequential order of Brahmani, Maheshwari, Kumari, Vaishnavi, Varahi, Indrani, and Chamunda. They are flanked by Bhairav and Ganesh on either side. They can be carved seated as well as standing. They are seated in Padmasan and Lalitasan, and they are sometimes shown with a child each to signify the Matrika aspect of their being. Next, please. I'll show some Matrika pattas. This is from Rameshwar temple in Ellora, where they are shown very beautifully and in a very benign form. Next, please. These are in the Mathura museum. These are 4 of the 7 Matrikas. Again, a very beautifully carved panel. Next, please. This is also from another museum. I forget what's the name of the museum. Next, please. And this is the very basic form of Saptamatrikas, which is very similar to the depiction that we have seen during Sindhu Saraswati, which is just 7 crude female figures. Next, please. This is from another temple, Chandela period probably. Next, please. This is from the Kailashnathar Kovil in Kanchi during the Pallava era. Next, please. This is from Aihole. Next, please. This is in Kerala. The Saptamatrikas are worshipped in aniconic form as 7 Balipithas, and there are Bhairav and Ganesh Balipithas on either side, which is done even in folk culture, even in folk traditions in Maharashtra. Next, please. So during any function, any marriage or any function or any childbirth, the 7 Matrikas are propitiated by 7 suparis or 7 betel nuts, and the puja is performed. Next, please. This is folk art. This is actually Dhokra art, where there is a lotus and there are 8 petals of the lotus. There are 8 petals of the lotus, and they have Saptamatrikas and Bhairava. Next, please. Now we come to the regional legends of 7 sister goddesses, which is what prompted this paper. In my travels across India, I found this legend of 7 sister goddesses. In different parts, they had different names, they had different stories of origins, they had different myths associated with them, but they were always 7 in number, and they were propitiated for childbirth and for the protection of children, and they most of the times have a brother. So they are referred to as Sat Asra, Sat Bahini, Sat Vahini in different parts of India collectively. They are associated with conception, birth, diseases, and protection. They are both beautiful and terrible, Balarakshini and Balaghatini. They are often accompanied by a younger brother. They are often enshrined under trees or mountains near crossroads, again a tradition going back to Bhasa's Mrichakatika, or near a running stream, and they are worshipped collectively as a group as well as they are worshipped individually. Next, please. In Odisha, they are collectively referred to as Satvahini. There is a very interesting legend specific to Puri. These were real women. They were followers of the 8th century princess Lakshmikara. They were working women, and as you can see from their names, their professions, Nitei Dhobani, Janadei Maluni. Maluni means a garland maker. Gangi Gauduni, Sua Teluni, Lahukuti Laurani, Sukuti Chamaruni, that's Mochi, and Patrapindi Saharuni. So they were all women from working class, they were all working women, but they achieved great tantric prowess, and even today they are worshipped in Puri specifically. There is also a Saptamatrika temple in Jajpur, where the 7 conventional Saptamatrikas, classical version, are being worshipped. Next, please. This is the Jajpur temple. Next, please. In Goa, the state that I come from, which is where this journey started, the 7 sisters are known as Kelbai, Mahamaya, Lairai, Mirabai, Morjai, Shitlai, and Adadipa. Their brother is Khetoba, who is a version of Kshetrapala, who is basically Bhairav, who is a Kshetrapala. And what is interesting is that Mirabai's temple was destroyed during the Portuguese rule, and it was forcibly converted into a church, and it is now Our Lady of Milagres. So it's actually a Mother Mary temple. But despite that, the original goddess has not lost her space in the sisters' heptad. She is still being worshipped for traditional Hindu festivals, and the people from the other temples, the sister temples, they come to this church, and during this church's festival, devotees who are practicing Christians, they go to the sister temples and they worship there also, which is not accepted under Catholicism or Christianity, but it is still accepted because she is still considered as one of the sister goddesses. This is very unique. Now we come to Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. They are worshipped as Polarama, Ankamma, Mutyalamma, Dili Polasi, Bangaramma, Matamma, and Renuka in Tamil Nadu. Collectively, they are known as Saptakannaga. They have a brother called Potaraju, who is Bhairava. In Telugu-speaking areas, they are called Pedamma, Yeshodamma, Mariamma, Ankalamma, Ellamma, Nakulamma, and Arikamma. Their shrines are usually located outside the village, and they are also worshipped in an iconic form as just 7 stones. Next, please. You can see that this is an open panel. Next, please. This is also another version of Saptamatrikas. Next, 7 sister goddesses. Next, please. Next, please. In Gujarat, the 7 sister goddesses are known as Khodiyar and her sisters Aval, Jogal, Togal, Holbai, Bijbai, and Sosai. And they are depicted as 7 sisters standing under a snake's hood because they are supposed to have descended from Nagaloka and taken a human form to answer a childless man's, a Gadvi minister's request. Next, please. They also have a brother, by the way. This is Khodiyar in the center, and all the other 6 sisters are there. Next, please. In Maharashtra, in Konkan region, they are worshipped as Champavati, Shitala, Ekvira, Padmavati, Kalalagi, Hingulja, and Chatursiti. In other parts of Maharashtra, they are simply worshipped as Sat Asra, that is 7 Apsaras, and they are considered to be guardian of water sources. They are worshipped in an iconic form simply as Supari or as painted stones near a water source. And the Kolis of Mumbai actually have their own tradition of 7 sister goddesses, and they are called Mumba Devi, Chandika Devi, Mahalakshmi, Sitla Mata, Kalba Devi, Jari Meri, Cheda Devi, and their brother Masoba or Matoba, and they all have their temples in different parts of Bombay, which at one point of time signified the geographical boundaries of Mumbai as an island when it was an island inhabited just by the Kolis. Next, please. In Punjab and Haryana, I'm almost done. The 7 sister goddesses are known as Full Mata, Sitla Mata, Badi Mata, Pansahi Mata, Gusulia Mata, Kankar Mata, and Malbal, and they are worshipped collectively as well as individually for specific reason relating to the health of children, conception, pregnancy. They are often represented by simple balls of clay. So when somebody is pregnant, there is a puja at home, kind of like a simandam. So they just do 7 balls of clay and do a puja asking for protection of the unborn baby. Next, please. In Himachal Pradesh, in Chamba district, the seven sister goddesses are known as Lakshana Devi, Shakti Devi, Chamunda Devi, Ambika Devi, Jalpa Devi, Badal Devi, and Ava Devi of Vaira. Again, they have a very interesting story of their origin, which is there in my full paper. I cannot narrate it for lack of time. Next, please. In Rajasthan, the seven sister goddesses are worshipped collectively as Sato Bahin, accompanied by their brother Bhairu, who is Bhairav, obviously. During marriages, brides-to-be are given a silver amulet depicting the seven goddesses. This is the only iconographic presentation in Rajasthan. There are no murtis. It's just the amulet that's given during wedding. In the month of Shravan, mothers paint 7 dots on their child's hands with henna, whether it's a boy or a girl, to represent the Sato Bahin, asking them to protect the child. And during festivals, women draw 7 dots near the entrance of the home to propitiate the Sat Bahin. Next, please. This is the amulet. This is the only way they are iconographically represented in Rajasthan, even now. Next, please. So that brings me to the end of my paper. The detailed paper has a lot more about different legends. You can go through it to get to know the different stories. But basically, what I found is that different regional versions of seven sister goddesses have their own distinct lore and functionality. They are independent, fierce, they are usually unmarried, but sometimes they are iconographically shown as with a baby. They straddled a space between classical Hindu concept of goddess worship and the popular version of goddess worship. As Nagarajji said yesterday, that line is very blurry. They are at the same time worshipped as classical Hindu goddesses like Durga, Mahamaya, Chamunda, and they are also worshipped in the local lore with their names as Balaghatini and Balarakshini. The worship of seven sister goddesses across diverse geographies is to me a testimony of the unbroken strand of the worship of the divine feminine in India that started right from the Sindhu Saraswati civilization and continues till today. Thank you. Any questions? Only thing is, again, this is not a disclaimer. This is not the final word in this. It's a work in progress. Yeah.
Because you said Mirabai, it just struck to me, is it like, were they considering Mirabai of...
No, there is no connection.
No connection,
No
right?
connection. This predates the Mirabai story in Rajasthan. Her
that's-
name was Meera.
And there is this interesting phenomenon I just want to notify because it happened over there. The same thing happened when the African slaves were taken to USA and they started their religion of voodoo. It's Christian gods but their own deities. And similarly in Europe, Christian and Bulgaria especially, Christian saints but their deity.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty popular thing.
Yeah.
I was particularly, first of all, congratulations on this paper. And I myself could relate a lot with my own presentation, right? So I was particularly drawn towards this concept of a younger brother that you talked about, right? So just like in Shitala, we have Jarasura, right? The fever god. So is the relation between, because I have also come across the fact that Jarasura is a consort of Shitala. So is there a kind of a relation like a brotherly or a consort-like relation between the sole male figure, or is it a purely brotherly relation?
No, it's purely a brother, a younger brother, and
Right.
there is sometimes they fight also. Like in Goa, there's a legend that Khetoba, that's the younger brother, went to
Right.
get some wood for the fire, and he didn't come because he was playing with his friend. So his sister went to get him, and she realized that he was playing and wasting time. She got so angry that she kicked him on the back. And
okay.
his back became teda.
Hunched, okay.
So he is still, his temple, where there is a separate temple for Khetoba, where his murti is shown as Vakda, the back
Okay.
is torn.
Right.
And because of that, the sister got schooled by the eldest sister,
Right.
and this sister who kicked, her name was Lairai, she was so penitent that every year she said she'll come to Khetoba's temple and she will walk on fire as penance. So this is all a local legend that's associated with it. But everywhere at least I have come across, it's only as a younger brother, as a form of Bhairava, but never as a consort or a soulmate.
Right. And second thing, when you referred to the Orissa context, you talked about Nitai Dhubani. Because this is, I think Nitai is a character even within the Manasa cult in Assam. Because there is a place in Dhuburi district called Nitai Dhubani Ghat. there's a ghat named after Nitai Dhupani because she's part of the Manasa cult. So maybe this is the same Nitai Dhupani that you were talking about, possibly as a
Maybe.
continuity, you know, from
Maybe.
Orissa to Assam.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, all right.
But this, I found the story very interesting because there were people who had legitimate professions. There were women who had legitimate professions who followed this princess, who became her disciples, and they achieved great tantric prowess. So much so that they started being worshipped as goddesses in their own right.
Right. Because in Assam, what happens, there's this narrative that Beula, she sees Netai, she's a washerwoman, so she's washing her clothes near a river, and her son is disturbing her. So she kills her son, right, while she's doing her job. Once she's done, she brings him back to life. So you talked about tantric implications. So even, you know, maybe, you know, she was invested with similar powers.
Yeah, possible. Definitely possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice presentation. 7 being a very prominent number in among Hindus. We have Saptarshis and in other contexts as well, 7 is highlighted. Could it be that the 7 sisters which you mentioned throughout India don't all fall into the same cluster? For example, the wives of the Saptarshis and the 7 Apsaras of Maharashtra and the other pan-Indian illness goddesses. They belong to 3 or more different clusters?
Yeah, they have a definite connection to the Kritikas, and that is what I tried to.
No, I mean, the Kritikas would not have actually any connection with the illness goddesses, and they are totally independent.
What is your question? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
The question is, could they be entirely separate clusters of 7 Devis rather than the same thing in different parts?
See, that is what is debatable. There are scholars who have said that these were 7 local goddesses who have been co-opted into the Saptamatrika form of worship. But to me, personally, as a researcher, I would say that the 7, obviously local lore got influenced, but there is an unbroken strand of mother worship that is continuing from Sindhu Saraswati days to here, and these are the different manifestations of it. I could be wrong, but it's under construction, as they say. Thank you.
Thank you, Shefali ji. You have finished before time, and that gave scope for a lot of discussion also. And let me also share my weakness for this topic. I spent all my life, more than 3.5 decades, working on village goddess worship cultures. When I moved from my linguistics, which was my original field, to cultural anthropology research in the department at University of Hyderabad, I told this to myself that Devi, whom from my father, who is a Sri Vidya Upasaka, she wanted to show her village goddess form to me. That is why she took me there, and she kept me there for decades. All my life I spent working on this. And to the question from Sri Vishwas Vasuki ji, the answer is that here we are not saying there is a 7 sister group. There is no 7 sister group. 7 sister is a concept. It's a model. The 7 sister is the name given to the model of grouping of the village goddesses. For example, if I am working on Telangana where I live, the total number of village goddesses there could be around thousands. Even if I say 1 million, it could not be wrong. And it is the same with Andhra Pradesh, the other Telugu state. And go to Tamil Nadu or Karnataka or Kerala, the number of actual village goddesses is as many as the villages, and even more, because a single village may have more than one village goddess. So they are grouped into 7 from place to place. The grouping differs. Okay, and in the beauty with the paper that Shefali ji presented is that she is showing that it is a pan-Indian phenomenon. The early colonial research on the village goddess cults and the seven sisters and all that, they were trying to put everything into Aryan Dravidian paradigm. And they wanted to say that 7 as a number has some significance for the Dravidians. Because I am a linguist also in my other hat, I actually know from where they are coming. In the Dravidian etymology, from number 4 onwards, for the ordinal numbers, there is a difference. And from 7 onwards, again in the 10 digits itself, there is a difference. Looking at all this, they wanted to create a hypothesis that 7 has a significance, and they wanted to connect it to Sumerian. There again, there is 7 has a significance. But if you want to do that, you will be completely disproved by the presentation by Shefali ji that it is such a pan-Indian phenomena, and how can you be Dravidian in that. So that all that happened out of that early enthusiasm during early Aryan Dravidian thing that was happening. So you would like to go for everything into that. You bring either Aryan or Dravidian into everything that you see. So they wanted to say that the village goddess worship is Dravidian and Saptamatrika is Aryan. So from Dravidian to Aryan or Aryan to Dravidian, there has to be some travel. So all those immature hypotheses would completely get blown by the way this kind of research that is coming up with the pan-Indian material that we are getting. Sheetala, for example, yesterday Durjati Sharmaji's paper also, that shows how Sheetala is such a pan-Indian phenomena. Chandrasekhar, who was a short-term Prime Minister for India, was a big devotee of Sheetala. And he attributed his success in politics also to his worship of Sheetala. But he is from Bihar. It is not Assam or Bengal that we are all talking about. So it is such a pan-Indian thing that is happening. So all these simplistic Aryan Dravidian kind of things, they get blown off. And this brother consort dichotomy and the dilemma, the confusion happens with, Shefali ji was mentioning about Malsa and Khandoba, it is related, Malsa and Khandoba are related. So what happens in these places like Maharashtra, Andhra and Telangana is that actually they are mergers of different cultures. For example, Khandoba, Biroba, they come from Dhangar culture. You have their cognates like Kuruma, Kuruba in the Karnataka and Andhra. They have their own Mallanna, Malsapati and these gods and goddesses. And they get related to these village goddesses because it's the village mind. You have this god here, male god, and there is this village goddess. Give some relationship. Somewhere it is consort relationship, some other places it is a younger brother relationship. The typical minimum form of a village goddess temple everywhere in South India is a navel stone of the village. Navel stone is the typical South Indian word, gets translated into English as navel stone. If it is in Telugu, they call it Bodrai. Bodu Rai. Bodu is navel in Telugu. So this navel stone is literal navel of the village architecture. All the houses are built from that center. That is why that stone is called navel. And when Sheetala or any other these smallpox goddesses are to be satiated, the cooling material is poured onto the navel stone, because that is the navel from which it spreads to the village. And that navel stone, it is called he, because it is stone. And the other component of the temple is the neem tree. Neem tree and the navel stone make the temple, and neem tree is called she. And whoever is the goddess there is she. If it is Poleramma, she is Poleramma. If it is Pochamma, she is Pochamma. So how many of them? Million. There are million of them, and everywhere this Bodrai is either considered as consort some places, brother in some other places. During one of my field works, one person belonging to the scheduled caste, Dalit, whatever you call, a dependent of that, another subcaste of that, he was accompanying me, he was taking me around, and he was saying, this is the sister, one of the 7 sisters, this is her brother. He was showing the navel stone. Just to provoke him, I was asking him, oh, you think that the brother is sitting on the navel stone and you are able to see him, and the sister is sitting on the neem tree? The typical answer I would get in all my field works all over India is, you educated guys are the problem. Your education is the problem. Sister sitting on the tree, brother sitting on the stone. What is this? He is the brother. She is the sister, he was saying. Then I said, I am not able to see. You will never be able to see. Your education is the problem. Why did you get educated? You will never be able to see this. I am able to see the sister. I am able to see the brother. You are not able to see. They are brother and sister, nice guy, good fellow. He was just cuddling him, the navel stone. Okay. Would you all like to cuddle him? Cuddle him from here. Imagine the navel stone. Just cuddle him, good guy. Navel stone, brother. Okay. And in all the village goddess temples, there is another male figure. She is saying, younger brother, younger brother. He is called in entire South India, Potraj. And there is a controversy between Marathi people and the South Indians. Marathi people say that the word is a Marathi word. Potraj is a Marathi word. And South Indians say that Potu is the bull that is offered as sacrifice. And Raju is Aras, Potaras in Tamil. So they give that interpretation to that Potraj. And in all the Karagam, Karaga, Bonalu, village goddess festivals, a person gets possessed by this Potraj. And he holds a whip in his hand and makes way for the sister to come. And the sister comes ferociously into the streets. What is actually moving is smallpox itself. The brother is making way and is saying, give way, give way. But he never asks the human beings there. He looks into the air and says, hey, give way, give way, give way. Then if we ask him, who are you talking to? He says, those guys, smallpox, that fever, this typhoid, that cholera, this plague, all are visible to me. I am driving them away. My sister has to come. I'll have to give way to her. The procession, the great procession is coming. I'll have to give way to her. That is the brother. Actually, the possessed person says this. And many women in the procession, they get possessed by that sister. They keep saying, oh, younger brother, oh, we are happy that we are moving in the streets. We want to get all these people rid of all these diseases. Oh, God. They keep saying this. Okay. So I think your brother in concert, I was able to make some kind of introduction. Please watch them. Please watch them, live with them, experience them, cuddle them, talk to them, smile at them. Whenever you come across a village goddess temple, Mantra, Shitala, wherever, they talk to you. He is able to see them as entities. Your language. Durjati Sharma is a literature professor. He needs a word. He needs personification, a figure of speech. Fortunately, the village person does not need any of figure of speech. He is able to see. He is able to see them. I am educated. That is my misfortune. He is saying, my problem is that I am educated. His problem is that he is educated. Personification is education problem. Personification is educated problem. Allegory, personification, metaphor, lakshana, dhvani, vyanjana, all this is educated problem. Yeah, objective correlative, T.S. Eliot, objective correlative, alambana vibhava, uddipana vibhava, entire rasa language, educated problem. Okay. So the best way of upasana is unlearning. Forget this Western education from the universities. Forget this Shastra. Overcome Shastra. Upasana starts.